In 5 arrogant words, Pam Bondi's entire career ended. She went on Fox News, looked straight into the camera, and believed she was so untouchable she could threaten a sitting member of Congress live on national television. Pam Bondi said she needs to be very careful. She thought she was sending a warning. She had no idea she was confessing. She didn't know that in Washington, Jasmine Crockett was waiting. The very next morning, an emergency session of the House Judiciary Committee. The air in the chamber was not just tense, it was electric. Pam Bondi walked in not with fear, but with a smirk, an arrogant, victorious smirk. She thought her threat had worked. She expected a terrified, apologetic committee. She found Jasmine Crockett waiting. Her eyes were not the eyes of someone who had been scared. They were the cold, precise eyes of a prosecutor who had been handed the final, devastating piece of evidence. The chairman recognized Crockett. The room fell silent. Crockett did not look at her notes. She looked directly at Pam Bondi. Jasmine Crockett asked, "Ms. Bondi, last night on national television, you stated that I should be very careful. Is that correct?" Bondi's smirk widened. This was her moment. She replied, "My comments stand. I believe members of this committee should be very, very careful about the baseless claims and deception they engage in. It's a dangerous game." She had done it. She had repeated the threat. In Congress, on the record, the trap was sprung. Jasmine Crockett smiled. Crockett said, "A dangerous game. I find your choice of words interesting. Be careful. It sounds familiar." Crockett turned to the giant screen. "Your Honor, let's look at Exhibit 42B, the visitor log for the Miami Federal Correctional Center, dated August 8th, 2019. 2 days before Jeffrey Epstein's death." Bondi's smirk vanished. Crockett continued, "The log shows a 2-hour unscheduled meeting between you, Miss Bondi, and the lead federal prosecutor on the Epstein case. And now, the screen changed. Exhibit 42C, a sworn statement from that same prosecutor. A statement he gave to the Inspector General last week in exchange for protection from prosecution." Crockett read from the statement, her voice a hammer. "He testifies under oath that you told him, and I quote, 'This transfer is a high-risk situation. You need to be very careful about who has access to the prisoner.'" The chamber erupted. The gavel hammered down. "Order! Order!" When the chaos settled, Crockett stood in the silence. Her voice was ice. Crockett asked, "Miss Bondi, is that a coincidence? Or is 'be careful' your code? Is that the method you use to obstruct justice?" That's outrageous," Bondi stammered, her face pale. "Is it?" Crockett fired back. "Because it worked. 2 days later, Epstein was gone. The investigation, dead. And the prosecutor you threatened was silenced. And now, when this committee gets too close to the truth, you go on national television and use the exact same code word on me." Bondi's legal team was whispering frantically. Bondi regained her composure. She leaned into the microphone, her voice cold. "This is baseless," Bondi stated. "You are connecting two completely unrelated events. You have no proof of any wrongdoing. You have a conversation, and you have a threat you imagined." Crockett nodded as if she expected this. "You are right, Ms. Bondi. I have no proof that you were paid for that meeting. Oh, wait. Click. A new exhibit." Crockett said, "My apologies, I do. Exhibit 28A, a SWIFT transaction record from a holding company, a shell corporation, based in the Cayman Islands." The screen showed a complex chart. "This shell corporation," Crockett explained, "has been proven by financial investigators to be a money laundering front for the Epstein estate. And this transaction, for $1.5 million, was wired to another shell corporation." She clicked again. "This one, registered to your former law partner, just 24 hours after you advised that prosecutor to be careful." Bondi's face was white. "My former partner's business is not my concern. You are slandering private citizens." "Am I?" Crockett replied. "Then let's talk about public officials. Let's talk about Director Kash Patel." Bondi's eyes narrowed. Crockett said, "You and Director Patel have both sworn under oath that you had no coordinated contact regarding the Epstein investigation. Is that still your testimony?" "Yes," Bondi said, her voice sharp. "We spoke only on routine matters." "Routine matters," Crockett repeated. "Like this." Click. A new exhibit. Exhibit 29A, a SWIFT transaction record. 4. $12.7 million. Transferred from that same Epstein holding company to a new shell corporation, Equitas Strategic Solutions, registered to your brother-in-law, 48 hours after you took office. Bondi's hands were gripping the table, her knuckles white. "And you did not act alone, did you?" Crockett asked. Click. A new exhibit. Exhibit 34C, another wire transfer, $8.9 million, from the same Epstein account to a different shell company. This one, registered to Director Kash Patel's cousin. Crockett declared, "This was not a cover-up, Ms. Bondi. This was a payoff. This was a coordinated secret plan. This was the price for your betrayal of the American people." "This is circumstantial," Bondi yelled. "You have nothing that connects me to my brother-in-law's business. You have nothing that connects me to Kash Patel. You have no proof we ever discussed any of this." She was fighting back. She was cornered, but she was fighting. She believed there was no paper trail. Crockett looked almost sad. "Ms. Bondi," Crockett said, "you are right. You were too smart to use email. You were too smart to use text messages. But you were not smart enough." Click. A new exhibit. Exhibit 38A, phone logs, from a secure federal server. These are not your cell phones. These are the hard lines from your offices. Lines you thought were not being recorded. These logs show 72 phone calls between your office and Director Patel's office in the 3 days before the $12 million transfer. 72 calls, Crockett repeated. "Ms. Bondi, were you discussing routine matters at 2:15 a.m., at 3:30 a.m., at 4:52 a.m.? Bondi was speechless. The color drained from her face. And now, Crockett said, her voice dropping, the reason for the calls, the reason for the payoffs, the reason for the entire conspiracy. Click. Project Phoenix, an internal DOJ memo signed by you and Director Patel, authorizing the destruction of evidence, the systematic destruction of 2,047 classified files related to the Epstein network. These files, Crockett said, her voice rising with anger, were set to be transferred to this committee the next day. You and Kash Patel coordinated a multi-million-dollar payoff. You spoke 72 times in 3 days, and then you personally signed the order to illegally destroy 2,047 files of evidence before Congress could see them. Ms. Bondi, you did not come here today as a witness. You came here as a criminal. Bondi was visibly trembling. Her lawyer was shouting, "Objection!" but the judge was silent. Staring at the memo, Crockett was not finished. And now, Ms. Bondi, we come to the truth. The question that everyone in America wants answered. What was in those 2,047 files? Crockett clicked a final time. Exhibit 50, a single file from that server, a file your team missed, a single file that indexes the other 2,046. The screen filled with names. The files you destroyed, Crockett said, her voice shaking with rage, contained the client list. 180 names, including 4 sitting United States senators, 2 current federal judges, 6 of the most powerful CEOs in the world. And, Miss Bondi, it contained something else. It contained the 89 sealed victim testimonies, testimonies of children sold to these powerful men. You did not just destroy evidence, Miss Bondi. You did not just take money. You took $12.7 million to bury the testimonies of 89 victims, to protect 180 of the most powerful people on earth. Crockett walked slowly, deliberately towards the witness table. She leaned in. Crockett said, "And when I got too close to this truth, you went on national television, and you used the exact same threat on me that you used on the prosecutor who tried to stop you. You did not threaten me, Ms. Bondi. You confessed. You were so arrogant, so untouchable. You used your secret plan's code word live on national television because you are terrified that we have the receipts for your entire criminal enterprise." Pam Bondi crumbled, defeated, humiliated, her hands visibly trembling. She put her head in her hands. Her career, her life, her entire web of corruption ended. What happens now? When the conspiracy is proven? When the names of senators and judges are known? Will any of them face justice? Or is Pam Bondi just the first to fall? Subscribe, because we are the only ones who will show you the truth.